Hey, everybody, we're live. You are watching the Little Miss Jacob show. We have been on quite the hiatus, everybody. It's been a while. I have been busy. I am the sort of, I guess it's newish to you guys, founder of creatorgenius.com. So I have this business that I do full time 7 days a week, but it's Saturday and I'm not going out. And unexpectedly, a thread that I posted on X over the holiday blew up, went viral. And I believe it went viral because Blake Lively had just dropped a complaint against Justin Baldoni. And pretty much everybody went full judge, jury, and executioner on Justin Baldoni. This was a couple days before Christmas, and it was a bit jarring and a little all too familiar for me. If you'd never met me before, my name's Ari. I used to be a talent agent and I represented a ton of really popular social media stars like Charlie D'Amelio and Addison Rae and a bunch of TikTok houses. And basically, what happened is that a influencer journalist at the New York Times, who was there at the time, totally destroyed my reputation with one libelous article. And I actually went on to sue the New York Times for defamation. And it's interesting because obviously this case is different, everything that's happening, but I do have an inside view of perhaps what's going down from the point of view of somebody who has been in like a PR war, not anywhere to the extent as the people that we're talking about because these people are worth a lot of money. Charlie D'Amelio, who I was representing at one point, ended up making $90 million with her and her sister between just a couple of years. So definitely follow the money with this situation. And here's my inside take. We're going to bring it all the way back since I know people have been asking me to break down my thread on X from the very beginning. I haven't had time. If you're watching this stream, the way that you can support me is if you know any business owners that hate dealing with their social media, the only way to grow on social media right now is short form video. And my company, what we do is we use a lot of AI and data to tell a business owner exactly what they need to do, exactly what they need to film, exactly what they need to say on consistent videos on their social media to blow up their page. And then we edit and post everything. So, anyway, if you know a business owner that they need help with their social media, check out creatorgenius.com. Also, follow me. I'm Little Miss Jacob on pretty much everything. And I'm going to give a shout out to two of my clients who we just started working with, zappyhealth.com and Dr. Mint, who is an oculofacial plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills and Las Vegas. So, since a lot of women watch my streams, two good companies to check out. But anyway, Bright Eyes says, "What was the outcome of your case with the New York Times?" So, I filed a lawsuit. I believe you only have about a year to file a defamation lawsuit. And almost at the 1 year mark, I filed against the New York Times. So it was in 2021, maybe June, July, or August of 2021. And in, I want to say like April of 2024, the judge said the case could go forward. And that was a really big deal. It was a really long time to get to that point. So if you're looking at Justin Baldoni and his filing against the New York Times, it's going to be a long time till they even get to decide if they can move forward with the case. Today, I'm not going to go through really everything that happened to me. I'll have to do that on another stream, but I decided to settle the case with the New York Times. The judge did say this case has merit on one statement that the New York Times made a mistake on, but in my opinion, printed like 50 false things about me, but it doesn't matter because of the First Amendment or something. That's a story for another day, but it's extremely hard to sue the media. And I consider my case a victory because we were able to prove that, yes, we had enough evidence to go forward. Our case did not get dismissed. However, it was going to cost me a lot more money and a lot more time to move forward with it. And I basically was completely destroyed financially after in 2021. I didn't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to put into this case. And honestly, I got my reputation back. And I decided that at the end of the day, I am so knowledgeable about this space and I can help business owners. My business partner was like, "Hey, Ari, just leave all that trash behind." And so I left it behind. But when I heard about this Valdoni case, and I tend to speak up if I see something online that's like dogpiling on somebody and I feel like it's perhaps unfair or like we need to hear the rest of the story. So if you've never met me, that's my shtick now is I stay in my lane. But hey, I could be out on a Saturday night with friends and I'm not. I'm hanging out here with my internet friends because that's what I like to do. I'm a big time nerd. But okay, what was I gonna do? Okay, so we're gonna go through my thread that I posted. Let's see here. I'm also live on X, although I don't think it really brings in any significant revenue. We're just gonna do it. And today, so my big thing too is like short form video because that's what my company does is it breaks down, it basically handles short form video. But let's see here. So I just got this new version of StreamYard, which will let me record or keep this video in 4K. So I can make shorts from it because I posted one TikTok about this today and it's like already blowing up. I haven't posted any shorts or anything. I don't want to have any beef with anybody. And I feel like how I can cover this in a different way than most people is like maybe explaining if you're in a situation where you're working with talent or you're putting together a production or you're working with influencers, celebrities, that kind of thing, what are some of the things that you can look out for so that you can prevent some of these terrible sort of PR nightmares that a lot of these people are dealing with? I basically felt like they were trying to steal my clients in a way that's not legal. And I don't want to get into that. Honestly, I'm over it. But Brian Friedman represented this huge talent agency who might have been behind a lot of the, what is it called? Like the string pulling behind the people that were trying to mess with me. He's a great lawyer. That's why all these people hire him. Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Chris Cuomo, David Dobrik, Perez Hilton. I don't know if Perez Hilton's as successful anymore, but even Yashar Ali, who I don't care for. I told a funny story the other day about how Megyn Kelly despises Taylor Lorenz, the journalist, the quote unquote fake journalist that tried to destroy my business. She does not like her. I think Taylor Lorenz is like totally irrelevant now, so it doesn't even matter. But when Taylor was in the news a lot, was around the time when I sued Taylor and the New York Times, and Megyn Kelly just would always make fun of Taylor Lorenz. The funny thing that I find so funny is that Megyn Kelly, she kept completely quiet about my case against Taylor Lorenz in the New York Times. And my theory, my hunch, not because I'm so important that Megyn Kelly needs to cover me, but it is just funny that she didn't cover it. And my hunch is that she didn't cover it because Brian Friedman was representing UTA and maybe we hadn't closed that lawsuit down. Or maybe if anybody, if any of Brian Friedman's clients covered the New York Times case, then they would have potentially implicated New York or the talent agency that Brian Friedman was representing because that was the talent agency that represented Taylor Lorenz. So anyway, do you guys see there's like conflicts of interest all around Hollywood? And it's okay, Megan. I forgive you. I know Brian Friedman made you a lot of money, so I understand why I didn't speak out my about my situation. It's all good. But so yeah, like ideally, I don't really want to give Brian Friedman too many flowers. Although I said in my ex post that Brian, you and I can be cool. I won't bring up that agency that you represented because listen, I'm not trying to have any more enemies in Hollywood. You feel me? Like also talking about this is I don't want to fight with Sony. I don't want to fight with the Swifties. I'm just here to explain to you what I think could be going on. because I experienced like a complete dog pile in my life. And I remember going to the attorneys and being like, can you explain this to me? Like, how can they do this? How can this is not right? And a lot of times, the attorneys would have to explain to me why there's nothing I could do, or like they would explain to me why the New York Times couldn't get away with saying XYZ. And so, since I have that special knowledge, I think that's why a lot of people are enjoying my threads on this, but I know reading is like a thing that a lot of people don't want to do anymore. So that's why I'm doing this stream tonight. Okay. So let's get into it. Let's see. I don't see anybody chatting. We want to get some good sound clips out of this so that I can clip this and put it on TikTok and YouTube. By the way, they're saying that TikTok's going away. And I watched Emily D. Baker's stream where she was streaming the Supreme Court hearings and stuff. And I think it's possible that it is going to go away, but maybe it would just like return. So we'll see. Okay, I'm live on this Baldoni lively thing. Please come chat with me so I don't get lonely. All right, shared it. There we go. I'm trying to get this new teleprompter so that I can I don't have to because I can't see my full screen. Stephanie, the altar nerd, gave me a good one. I should put it in my Amazon gift me. I have a thing on my Little Miss Jacob, like you can buy me gifts from Amazon. Not to be weird, but hey, if anybody wants to, I'm not going to say no, but save up to buy that so that I can, if I do more streaming. I don't know if oops. All right. Oh, there's 15 people here on YouTube. So hello, guys. What do you guys want to know? Let's go into the first post I made about this that went viral. I think it got viral. I don't know. I got 7 million views, whatever that means on X. But I want to see if I was right about any of this stuff. Ooh, that's a cool view. All right, let's do this because we can share this. Oh, hi, Ari. Oh, thank you guys are talking to me. Hi, Ari. It's been a long time since I caught one of your lives. Hi, Ashlyn. What's up, Malcolm Adams? Glad you got some time to chill. I know you've been busy, my friend. Deanna Sholar, what's up? Good evening. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Here's this. All right, that's not bad, right? That's decent. Okay. Yeah, I do that. I have ADD too. All right, cool. Viral. Yeah, my pose went viral. I got 7 million views. Okay. And I was the only one to speak up like on Christmas about what was going on with Baldoni. So yeah, I would consider it viral. I don't know if you searched Baldoni on when everybody was flaming or like when everybody was talking about basically the New York Times article dropped and then everybody just assumed that Baldoni is like the worst person on the planet. And then I'm like, okay, this doesn't sound right. Anytime that you see something like that where one person is being framed as the villain by, especially when it's the New York Times that's claiming that this person is a villain, it's you better start researching and asking questions. You definitely better start asking questions if the New York Times is vilifying somebody. That's all I'm saying. Because they almost destroyed my entire life, but here we are. We're back. We're not destroyed. All right. So I said, I guarantee no one's breaking down the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni complaint like this. Lawyers and PR teams are betting you'll take their version at face value, but I've seen this playbook before, and I'm going to show you how it works. This was posted, I think it was like, I don't know, a couple days before Christmas or whatever the New York Times article came out. Okay, how can I be I'm not misogynistic. I'm a girl. I guess some people are misogynistic that are girls. But anyway, I just asked Grok to make me an image with a bunch of lawyers in the background and Blake Lively looking annoyed at Justin Baldoni and then what's it called? And then make it look like a cartoon. But anyway, that's what it came up with. So here we go. I say, full disclosure, I take no pleasure in doing Brian Friedman's job for him. That is Baldoni's lawyer right there in that cool Hollywood Reporter image. This is the same attorney who repped a behemoth talent agency who I sued once, But exposing Hollywood smear tactics, that's a personal passion. Why not? Let's get into this, right? Plus, who can blame Brian Friedman for being good at his job? I will call a truce to cover this story fairly just for you guys. Plus, like I said, I want no beef with any lawyers in Hollywood or anywhere really. And now lawyers are like some of my BFFs. So a couple lawyers saved my life. And here you have Baldoni with Bethany Frankel and Tucker Carlson and Don Lemonhead and Megan Kelly. Okay. And tonight I'm going to go through the interview that Megan Kelly did with Brian Friedman in order to highlight some things that I bet you guys missed from that Brian Friedman and Megan Kelly interview. And there's a couple other interviews that I've found that I've earmarked because y'all are missing everything, all the good stuff. So I'm excited that nobody's covered a lot of things that I'm excited to cover. Okay. The complaint paints Baldoni as orchestrating a smear campaign against Lively for speaking out about workplace. What's another word for, I don't know. We want to call it age? Okay, fine. Sounds explosive, but here's the kicker. Much of the evidence relies on implication, not proof. So now that we know, because this was before Baldoni had filed his suit against the New York Times, and we saw like a bunch of extra text messages. So let's see how much of this I got right. I think I got most of it, but you guys can flame me if I got anything wrong, okay? People were upset about the image. Yeah, they were upset about my cartoon. They said that was so mean. Colorado Mountain, what they did to you was horrible. After learning your story, I find you even more inspiring. Oh, thank you. That's really the reason why I like to speak out too, is because a lot of people aren't not as famous or don't have a big backer like Justin Baldoni does. And maybe some of my streams will help you like find some hope or anything. If you're going through a challenge in your life and you think, okay, it's over, I'm done, you're probably not, and you should always know there's like a hopeful way out of everything, especially when you're just like being unfairly attacked. It's like the truth always makes its way to the light, whatever that Bible verse is. You know what I'm saying? All right. So the title of this thing that dropped was from the New York Times: We can bury anyone inside a Hollywood smear machine. Private messages detailed an alleged campaign to tarnish Blake Lively after she accused Justin Baldoni of misconduct on the set of It Ends With Us. Much of the evidence relies on implication, not proof. So let me explain. Example: a publicist texted, not Baldoni, okay? A publicist that worked for Baldoni texted, "We can bury anyone." Spicy? Sure. But it's not Baldoni saying it, okay? And the complaint doesn't tie that message back to him. So there's nowhere in the complaint where you see Baldoni saying, bury Blake Lively. Okay. This is a classic PR move. Make it look damning by association. So you could argue that perhaps the girl who said it, "We can bury anyone," has some moral issues or whatever, because it's not nice to bury people. But hello, have you guys not seen? Did you guys not watch that show with Olivia Pope? That's basically what she would do. She would bury her enemies. What about House of Cards? House of Cards? House of Lies? I forget. House of Cards. Yeah. Okay, that guy was always like burying people, another publicity guy in politics. This is what these people do. This is not anything new. Did you guys not remember the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation, the TMZ thing? Okay, come on guys, wake up. We know this. We know this. You guys are smart. Okay. So, Ms. Nathan, goodness gracious. So it says we can bury anyone, but I can't write that to him. I'll be very tough. So maybe Melissa Nathan wants to bury someone. It doesn't say who she's burying either. You can assume that it's Blake Lively, but you don't know. Okay. I can't write that to him. We don't even know if she's talking about Baldoni. She probably is, but I'm just saying, look at the actual messages. A few days later, on August 5th, 2024, blah, blah, blah. Here it says, we can't write that. Imagine if documents saying all the things that he wants ends up in the wrong hands. It sounds bad, but again, you don't have a smoking gun here. So this is what I was first looking at. I'm just like, I don't know. Baldoni's going to have a side of his story and it deserves to come out. So this is again before he drops a lawsuit against New York Times. Maybe I inspired it with this post. I don't know, Ari. Remember how people were using this argument to imply that there was no smear campaign against Crowder and that his wife was just discussing a campaign, not proof her family ran one? Listen, again, two things can be true at once. Brian Friedman represented Crowder's wife, and Brian Friedman represents Yashar Ali, who dropped the ring cam footage. Twitter, it was Yashar Ali. Where did he get that footage? Oh, could have been from Brian Friedman or someone in that mix. I think so, but whatever. I'm not saying that Crowder's ex didn't get screwed over or that Crowder's a fabulous guy. I was never championing anybody in that situation. I was just saying, look at the plays being made. Okay. Also, like Jared was alleging all these like workplace violations when, yeah, they probably were workplace violations. Let's just say that Crowder did show his junk to the other guys that were there, like in this weird locker room, gross way. But Jared did it back to him. So it's, yes, it's not right. And if you do that kind of stuff, like F around and find out. But at the same time, it's if Jared was like suing Crowder for SH. It's really, bro. Like, it's just, it's not a stretch. I don't know how you even say that. It's just basically feigning victimhood when you're not like actually damaged. It's not like in that situation that Jared was assaulted and that he's going to have to go to therapy because they were joking around and showing each other their junk. Maybe if that gets you out of your contract, you say, oh, like these are workplace violations. And maybe that does get you out of your contract. But to say that you like were SA'd or something like that because those like weird things were going on, I don't know, people might disagree with me, but I would just say that don't exaggerate something. If you could say, hey, we used to fool around in the office and do stupid things and show each other our junk, but like him as my boss, he shouldn't have been doing that. Okay. I think that's fair. But if you're like, oh, I'm traumatized and you're not because you did it to other people, do you get what I'm saying? So, anyway, that situation was really weird and I don't even want to get into it. But for the record, I totally do think there's a smear campaign ran against him. Oh, okay. I don't know. I already forgot about that whole situation because so many people were like mad at me also when I just spoke out and I was like, hey guys, maybe there's something else going on. Lively really weaponized the Me Too movement. Yeah, possibly. Okay. Meanwhile, Baldoni's texts tell a different story. He reportedly said, I'm not in love with this strategy. Does that sound like a guy plotting revenge or someone uneasy about how his team was handling damage control? That was essentially what Baldoni's lawyer is saying, that he wasn't comfortable with a smear campaign. And the reason why it matters if it was the smear campaign is if it was retaliatory. So, where I don't really understand, like Blake Lively is not, as far as I can understand, suing. I don't know actually. Because I think that those PR people are in her lawsuit, but they don't work for Wayfair. So if they were trying to get after her, but they weren't told to, how can that be retaliation from Wayfair? You get what I'm saying? Like they're trying to say that Wayfair retaliated against Lively for making on-set complaints and the retaliation is proven by the smear campaign. So if Baldoni didn't, or nobody at Wayfair was like, yes, go do that, then I don't understand. Even if the PR people, that's what they do. And even like Harvey from TMZ was like, yeah, you guys were both doing it. I'll pull that one up. It's just like the fact that people are like, oh, I can't believe that people are smearing each other. It's, especially the New York Times. Like that's rich coming from the New York Times. I can't believe you guys smear people. Oh, really? What I do want to say is that you are not going to find another person like me talking on X or YouTube or TikTok about their experience suing the New York Times for defamation. I haven't seen it. It's a very unique experience. And if you find someone else that has done it, please holler at me because I haven't seen anyone except for Aria Tufanian who tried to do it. I believe his case got thrown out right away because he was representing himself. Okay. I had a ton of lawyers helping me and we got as far as we possibly could. But I don't think that there's anybody else talking about, hey, I sued the New York Times and this is how it went. So, do I have extra special experience in smear campaigns, cancel culture, and the New York Times? Like, and Brian Friedman? And maybe I don't even know who else is involved, but yes, I do. Okay. So here we go. Other than that, it's text where Baldoni says he wants to bring the movie back to the issue of DV. Granted, that wasn't the alleged Sony approved marketing strategy, but this is Baldoni's film too. And he was very clear that he was doing this to give a message of hope to people affected with these kinds of things. So, under California law, SH must show a pattern of unwelcome behavior with intent to harm. So that's in California. Discomfort is not enough. So remember, this is just a complaint at the time when I wrote this. Does the complaint meet this standard? Right now, it's heavy on storytelling and light on actionable facts. Key legal considerations: intent versus perception. I don't think can say harassment on platform, maybe not, maybe just on X. Okay. Anyway, here are the legal considerations of Blake Lively's complaint as I saw them when she filed the complaint initially around Christmas. Intent versus perception. So, harassment claims often hinge on whether the conduct was intentional and whether a reasonable person would find it offensive. Unintentional actions that cause discomfort may not meet the legal threshold for harassment unless they are severe or pervasive. So, this, now that we know what Baldoni said, in my opinion, and what I understood from Brian Friedman going on Megyn Kelly and everything, was essentially this. Baldoni is saying, look, I didn't mean to upset her. I wasn't trying to do anything weird or creepy or SHE. And as soon as we learned that she was having these feelings, we agreed, of course, we won't go into your trailer when you're not comfortable with it. That's my perception, is like same type of thing where, but obviously not as bad as the whole Crowder and not gay Jared thing. But from what I understand, it's she's taking all these sort of innocuous interactions that didn't seem bad at the time, and she's like making them into a bigger deal than they are, and they are not SH. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I understood. Colorado says, oops, the only reason publicists can run smear campaigns is because new outlets accept their input for profit, knowing they are participating in the smear campaigns. Yeah. I don't know. It feels like Justin Baldoni was going on the defensive, but we don't know. We don't have all the information. And I'm not totally one side over the other. I was speaking out for Baldoni because he was getting absolutely crucified like right around Christmas. And I just thought it was unfair that everybody had made up their minds, assuming that the New York Times always tells the truth. We know that's not true. And it just was pretty triggering. I'm not going to lie, because I'm just like, does everybody just think that the New York Times is like the gold freaking standard? It is not. And let's just get that through our heads. Okay. All right. Single incident severity. The California Supreme Court has clarified that a single severe incident, such as the use of a racial epithet, can constitute H if it creates a hostile work environment. Employer liability. Employers are required to take reasonable steps to prevent and correct wrongful behavior in the workplace. Failure to do so can result in liability, even if the employer was unaware of the incident. So that is where Baldoni could potentially get into trouble if Lively can prove some of this stuff happened. Okay. So, also, I'm not an attorney. So, this is just my lived experience. And I'll tell you guys anything like that I learned when I was suing the New York Times. All right. The breastfeeding trailer claim. Lively alleges Baldoni walked into her trailer while she was feeding her baby. Is there evidence this happened? If so, how many times? Was this a deliberate invasion of privacy or just bad timing? Intent does matter. For example, some women breastfeed openly without concern, while others prefer privacy. Feeling uncomfortable, while totally plausible, I'm not denying that Lively could have very well felt this way, doesn't automatically mean harassment occurred. It depends on the context, boundaries, and intent and evidence. Okay. There are so many women posting freely. Look at there's a whole thing, the rise of celebrity breast stars, including Rihanna and Emily Ratajkowski, lead the trend for posting breastfeeding snaps on Instagram. It's not like we've never heard of this or anything like this. All right. That was you. I think he seems like he's on the defensive as well, but all the news outlets slamming the smear campaigns participate in smear campaigns. Absolutely. But it seems like everybody in Hollywood knows this happened. I didn't know that was going on. So maybe this is like the public's first sort of impression of it, but or second, I don't know, after Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Maybe in the SMS she meant he could visit her trailer at that specific time, but it wasn't an open invitation to go there anytime he wanted. However, it's possible that he misinterpreted. Absolutely. I even think that's maybe like totally the case. Like this guy is saying he's neurodivergent, he has ADHD, and like it's true. I have ADHD and sometimes I misread social cues and I talk too much, or I make people feel awkward. I don't know. It's not an excuse, but you do have to take all kind of sides of it. And is it something like where somebody's just being overly sensitive and like anything that you do is going to and here's the other thing, like if there was already a battle for the movie rights and control of the movie, and if Lively and Reynolds had a plan to take the movie away somehow, and that we'll get into because I did share my theory on perhaps what's going on. Actually, I might as well just show you guys that because it's something that like I feel like a lot of people haven't talked about. So let me share this little theory that I have with you guys. Can you guys see? Oh no. Oh yeah. Okay, here we go. Colorado says I think Justin and Wayfair are going to also soon Colleen Hoover. Damn. Yeah, who knows? I don't know. It's nice to have a billionaire backer with a vendetta. Another time that a billionaire had a vendetta was against Gawker, a publication that outed him as gay before he wanted to be outed. And he put them out of business like 10 years after they outed him. Like it was a big vendetta he had against them. And you don't want to piss these billionaires off. When this one billionaire, Steve Sarowitz, who basically, yeah, this one billionaire that's supposedly bankrolling them is not happy because he was going to, or I guess he pledged to give away his vast fortune to causes that help humanity. And so he's not happy. And I think he's going to definitely sue Blake Lively. There's just so many people involved here. I think that I posted if Justin Baldoni's deal for Ends With Us includes a morality clause, then everything happening with Blake Lively right now makes sense. So let's go back to my original thread that I posted right after Christmas. My boyfriend and I were visiting his family, and I'm like, I don't want to be rude and be, on my phone and on Twitter during the holidays, but it's a little bit of a obsession when I get into one of these sort of, what is it called when you're just like into something anyway, especially because I sued the New York Times and I know what it's like to be the target of a smear campaign. So I was like all about this. I think a lot of people were afraid to speak up because if you speak up and you say, hey, I'm not saying that Blake Lively isn't telling the truth, but you have to understand that there's going to be another side to this. And I spoke out before Justin said anything, before the lawyer said anything. And if you want to go on my Twitter and you're going to find all these posts. Corey says, it's like BL and RR are trying to take control of the rights, but why not just purchase them outright? They're millionaires after all, so it shouldn't be a financial issue for them. The reason why they maybe didn't do that is because maybe Wayfair and Baldoni said, no, we're not going to give you the rights. Okay, so I don't know if you caught that video that I posted, but basically, if Baldoni has a morality clause with Hoover or with Sony, that could be their out, but they would have to legally pin him down for one of these things in order for it to actually work. So in order for them to release the rights back. Now, this is just a hunch, this is just a thing, but Okay, so let's pause for a second. I said in my thread because I was scared. I have no interest in making enemies with Hollywood power players like Sony, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Taylor Swift, because Taylor Swift and Blake Lively are besties. The talent agency, Justin Baldoni, Brian Friedman, or Lively's lawyers, or even Amber Heard stands. I like my sanity intact. Thank you very much. But seriously, someone has to pull back the curtain on how this works and consider this a public service, or you could just consider it made up fiction. Honestly, just go with that to make it to play it safe. Okay. Basically, don't cancel me. Okay. So let's talk about the lip biting improvisation. The complaint describes Baldoni improvising a lip biting moment during a scene, which Lively alleges cross some boundaries. I'm scared to talk about this on TikTok because it might get turned off like 10 seconds, and then I won't be able to turn it back on because it's like going away. Okay. Anyway, so whether this moment constitutes misconduct hinges on critical context. Was there evidence of repeated refusal to address boundaries? And so far, the complaint doesn't prove this. Without further details, it's difficult to distinguish this from a creative decision gone wrong that wasn't right. Interestingly, there's little case law that I could find in California addressing other times that actors filed complaints over similar onset issues, and that might be because they didn't publicize them. So you can go into my thread and check it out. There was one time that sparked a little bit of controversy, which was in the Mindy Project. Mindy Kaling admitted to spontaneously kissing guest star Lee Pace during a scene, and even though it was framed as a joke, her writers warned her about potential legal issues. And while the incident drew public criticism for its lack of professionalism and respect for personal boundaries, there's no record of legal action being taken place by Pace against Kaling. The complaint also alleges that Baldoni discussed his past addiction openly, which made Lively uncomfortable. She reportedly asked him privately to stop bringing it up, but the complaint claims that he later told the cast she'd never seen it, which escalated the discomfort. Now, what's really interesting is that recently I saw a clip from the actual movie It Ends With Us, and Blake Lively's character, Lily Bloom, comes out of a room and basically says, "Oh my gosh, what is this? A spicy movie?" And if you've never seen it, then why would you say that line? I don't know. I could see why they were maybe talking about that, about spicy stuff on camera, because she literally has a line that says that spicy word on camera. So in the movie that they put on TV that you can watch on Netflix right now. So anyway, so I wrote, context matters. Baldoni's addiction wasn't a random topic. It's also something he's openly discussed on his Man Enough podcast as part of a larger conversation about masculinity, vulnerability, and recovery. Around 3 to 6% of adults struggle with this kind of addiction, and many podcasts and discussions aim to destigmatize this topic as part of a broader mental health and relationship conversation. The key question I had was, did Baldoni stop when Lively raised her concerns? And the complaint doesn't clarify whether the behavior continued or worsened after her private request. Without evidence of a repeated pattern, it's hard to elevate this to intentional misconduct. Oversharing often overlaps with neurodivergence like ADHD, where social cues are missed and discussions can unintentionally create discomfort. While this context doesn't excuse the behavior, it invites the question, was this H, or was it an earnest attempt to foster dialogue that perhaps missed the mark? Lacking and misinterpreting social cues is a common symbol, right? Ashlyn, I guess I'm hoping hearing more from Ari will help me make my mind up about this. I still don't know what to think. Yeah, I know. I don't know what to think either, but I do have some theories. I did a video with her, so if you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it on her YouTube channel and go follow her. All right. So the allegation about Baldoni saying he spoke to Lively's late father. Strange? Absolutely. Malicious? Unclear. Okay. If talking to dead people automatically counts as harassment, Tyler Henry better lay low. This might be the weirdest detail in the entire Blake Lively complaint. Without tone or context, it's impossible to know if this was a misguided attempt at connection or something more sinister. The ambiguity leaves everyone guessing. Somebody could tell you that they talked to your father, who is not with us anymore, and like that could piss you off. But is it, if they didn't intend, remember that intentional, it would have to be intentional, like they meant to, what is it called? Grind your gears. But also, haven't you guys heard of so many directors that really get into the heads of actors to the point where they're just like the actor is not stoked about it? And also, even like football coaches do this, so many types of people that are basically directors like coaching you and what they want you to do. You get what I'm saying? Like, why not, if you really were, and that does, and I'm not even getting into the fact that like Ryan Reynolds put all this stuff about, that made like a fake character in his Deadpool movie or whatever. Like it's just petty stuff. Okay. If something really happened to your wife, would you be doing all that really petty stuff? I doubt that he just pulled out his phone and showed her adult photos on set around a bunch of people. Yeah, I don't think that. There was another claim about a birthing scene or something like that comes out later. Megan said she would cover the Clayton case, but blew it off. Oh, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Lacking and misinterpreting social cues is not uncommon in those with ASD or those who are neurodivergent. So, not to excuse behaviors, but it does provide more context and understandings for these things. Yeah. And people were trashing him because they were, I guess he was like, I want to go meet Dr. Amen and talk to him about my ADHD. Dude, I want to go talk to Dr. Amen and talk to him about my ADHD. So it's like, why is that all of a sudden villainous? And that's the thing I want people to think about. When somebody is framed as the villain, literally anything they say or do is going to maybe make them look like more villainy. Oh, I wanted you guys to see this video. This is funny. Okay. This is what I want to show you guys. Basically, it's this video where what this podcaster is saying is like, it almost seems like anything that you say to Blake Lively could set her off. And there's a video where Blake Lively is talking about how for her baby's first birthday, they got a cake with the two thingies, whatever. That she was telling the story about this birthday cake that was like inappropriate. Here, I'll just let you guys watch. And it's, if Baldoni would have said this, he would have gone absolutely, if there was a video hanging out of Baldoni saying this, everybody would be like, oh my gosh, he's a weirdo perv. And, but it's totally cool for Lively to do it. Here it is. You see how maybe it's like a little bit of a double-edged sword there? Like Lively can talk about a weird birthday cake with thingies, but Baldoni can't. Not that Baldoni wants to, but do you see what I'm saying? If he would have said this, he would have gone absolutely skewered. Okay, all right. So next in my thread, there's just so much lore that it's no wonder that people have, like, Perez Hilton every 5 minutes is putting up new content about this, and more power to him, I guess. Except for that he's like friends with Taylor Lorenz, or he was. So I'm not a huge fan of Perez. Maybe if he disavows Lorenz, then I'll be cool with him. And probably Lorenz is going to disavow him because she is totally on Lively's side of this thing, and I'm somewhere in the middle slash a little, probably leaning towards the Baldoni side, definitely. But just because of the evidence, not because I don't like Lively. Look, I don't know. Maybe she is like just hyperly sensitive and offended. I don't know. Maybe that's the thing. But we don't cry bullies. You feel me? Okay. So I said the PR drama in the Lively Baldoni saga is messy. Allegations of social manipulation claim Baldoni's PR team worked to discredit Lively. Does this sound familiar? Think Depp versus Heard, a public battle with PR teams shaping narratives to sway perception. How do we get there? Subpoenas to Jones Works, Baldoni's former PR firm. Those expose texts about managing media and spinning narratives. If you've followed along, if you followed celebrity PR before, this playbook: deflect, distract, and defend the client. Jones Works, run by Stephanie Jones, who is married to a WME talent agency partner. A partner means like he basically owns part of the company, okay? Or he's a partner. Hollywood is very incestuous, okay? So Stephanie Jones, who used to represent Baldoni, denies knowing about tactics against Lively. Meanwhile, her firm is also embroiled in its own dispute with Baldoni, alleging defamation. Okay, you guys, I have something new that I know nobody has talked about. I don't know if Colonel Kurtz is still in here, but if you are following the story, like you're going to want to hear this. So, who is the actual agent that represented Justin Baldoni? We need to find out who Justin Baldoni's agent was at WME, and whose agent was representing Lively and who's representing Reynolds. Because I have another theory as to how a lot of this information got out. Like, for example, how, if this is true, that Baldoni's billionaire backer said that he was going to put $100 million or something towards destroying Lively. Who heard him say that? And did he actually say it? Here's what I think. If Baldoni was relegated to the basement, who was in the basement with him? Was his WME agent in the basement, dun dun dun, with Steve Sarowitz and Baldoni's crew that wasn't allowed with Blake Lively? Okay, even Baldoni, when he got interviewed and they're asking him about the second one, he's Lively can have it. And you can see the contempt in his face, although he's being polite. Okay. If there was a mole from WME in the room in the basement, and then that little birdie went and told WME, Stephanie Jones's husband, aka WME. Teresa says, "Why are they hiding in the basement?" Oh, why are they hiding who the agent is? Okay, I thought you were going to say, "Why are they hiding in the basement?" Okay, we haven't gotten there yet, but a lot of people know about the basement. Okay, it's not that they're hiding who the agent is. There's just very rarely is it easy to find this kind of information. We can find it. People know. Okay. So if you guys can go find out, or in maybe Kurt's, like in your streams and stuff, if you can ask your sleuths, because I know your people like are really good at finding stuff. Who was Baldoni's agent at WME? That could be interesting because maybe we could poke around and figure out, did that agent go behind the scenes? And you have to remember, sometimes these agents, maybe it was an assistant agent, maybe, and then these people are like, oh, I can get my career up higher if I like tell them what I know. Oh, I heard this billionaire say XYZ. Like, we don't know, but I'm just saying it is possible because it happened in my situation. So I know it happens that these sort of like smaller people in on the totem pole will go and be like, "Ooh, I have information," so that they get promoted. And oftentimes they do get promoted when if they do something to help, let's say WME, one of WME's biggest clients. Can we get a tour? Veronica says, I would have told her to F off. I would not have just waited in the basement. That's ridiculous. Okay, this is like the point I keep bringing up as well. You're telling me that Baldoni was so scared of Blake Lively that he sat in the basement, that he let her into the editing bay, that they wrote a letter so she could be a producer, executive producer, whatever, a real producer on the movie. They were so scared of her. They did everything that she wanted, but the big plan was to destroy her. That just doesn't make sense. It seems like they were going along with her plan, but maybe her plan all along was to take him out. Here's my situation. I was representing a bunch of TikTok stars and they wanted out of their contract with me because I had already gotten them to where they were working with brands and they were a bit more famous. And then they didn't want to pay me. So they're like, okay, if we destroy her business, then we don't have to pay her because she's going to go out of business. So there's always follow the money. You have to see what was people's incentive to doing what they were doing. Meanwhile, Stephanie Jones's firm is also embroiled in its own dispute with Baldoni, alleging defamation. Former Jones Works employee Jennifer Abel jumped ship to work for Baldoni's new crisis PR team. Jones claims Abel helped Baldoni undermine Lively, and as of now, there's no direct evidence connecting Abel to any something retaliatory. The texts don't prove Baldoni personally orchestrated anything. They do show PR firms doing what they do best, shaping public perception, using media connections, and controlling narratives, all while staying just on the legal side of shady. Yes, it's gross. Oh, and of course, Amber Heard already spoke up and inserted herself as a supporter of Lively. The silver lining, these tactics are rarely exposed. The fact that Jones Works and the other PR firm's internal strategy is out in the public open or is out in the open is a rare look behind the PR curtain. And spoiler, it's uglier than you guys may think. The real question was Baldoni's PR team retaliating against Lively, or were they just running standard damage control? The exposed texts don't prove malice. They show a messy, strategic scramble to protect Baldoni. Hollywood PR operates in gray areas. It's not illegal to spin a narrative, but when it crosses into undermining or silencing accusers, it reveals how power really works in the industry. Okay, but I'm not done. Here's another really weird claim. The best friend casting critique. Lively's complaint says that Baldoni cast his BFF so he could be all up close and personal during the birthing scene with Lively, insinuating that this was unprofessional or not appropriate. But Adam Monshine, the OBGYN role, has a master's in acting from UCLA and has legit acting credits. So perhaps could you say it was bad casting? Was it a SAG violation or just Team Lively disliking Baldoni's pick for the role? The complaint doesn't really give enough specifics. That's why this complaint has a lot of red flags for me. Creative power struggles are Hollywood 101. Baldoni had the film rights, Lively, Reynolds, and the writer had sway too. Miscommunication and clashing visions are often reframed as something darker in these disputes. So why does this matter? Hollywood thrives on public not understanding its inner workings. Once you see how narratives are spun, you stop being a pawn in PR chess. Okay, so finally, the we can bury anyone text. We covered it a little bit earlier. The smear campaign accusation hinges on texts subpoenaed from Abel, Baldoni's publicist, or sorry, not from Abel, that was wrong, from Stephanie Jones, Baldoni's ex-publicist. The complaint includes dramatic phrases like "we can bury anyone," but it doesn't show Baldoni actually saying this. Baldoni's promotional comments about Lively were overwhelmingly positive, calling her incredible. Why would he elevate her work if his goal was retaliation? Even if he really disliked her, this was his baby movie. Like, if he made it so people really hated her, they wouldn't want to watch the movie, and that would cost him money. Baldoni's promotional comments about Lively were overwhelmingly positive. The disconnect between his public praise and the PR team's behavior muddies the complaints narrative. I do agree that by this point, Baldoni is probably walking on so many eggshells. Isn't it through the negotiation process that she was able to get an executive producer position after getting casted? Yes. I think she had already some kind of credit that they gave her originally going into it, but then she wanted something more. She wanted a different type of credit that was more special. Okay. This sounds like a bunch of word salad digging for something nice to say. Yeah, probably. And listen, like, I remember when the TikTokers trashed me and they were talking bad about me. Like, I wanted so bad to just go on and talk about how terrible they were. But then I had mentors that were like, no, Ari, we don't do that. We don't, when they go low, you go high. And I was like, but they went too low. So I don't blame Baldoni for disliking her, but you have to admit that he at least appears to have basically controlled himself, okay? Because even like today I was watching this thing of Johnny Depp's attorney saying that they were worried that the other highly skilled attorney on Amber Heard's side was going to potentially trigger Johnny Depp, but Johnny Depp controlled himself on the stand and he was funny. Remember when they said you poured yourself a mega pint? They were showing a video that could have, if Johnny had overreacted, it could have made the jury believe that he was a bad person. Now, you have to remember that Johnny Depp had 4 or 5 years in between. Was it 4 years in between when he was on the stand? This is relatively fresh for Baldoni and his team. So when they're at the press things, is there some like contempt coming out towards Blake Lively that they're not showing? Sure. And listen, they're human beings. So I don't think that makes Baldoni a bad guy if he's upset at what happened. I do think that the Lipgate scene could have been Baldoni method acting. I do think that, but I don't know enough about that side of Hollywood. Moreover, Baldoni himself expressed discomfort. Okay, this is interesting. So, one of the complaint's more dramatic claims is tied to a text from Baldoni. This is what we would need, he says it says in this screenshot, okay? He has a screenshot and he said this is what we would need. The complaint heavily implies this is about painting Lively as a bully. Remember, this is before the New York Times lawsuit came out. This is before Justin Baldoni spoke out at all. I was saying this. So I think I was right. I said the complaint heavily implies that this is Baldoni painting Lively as a bully, but where's the evidence? That one screenshot lacks context and doesn't explain who or what he was referring to. Recently, Brian Friedman, the attorney for Baldoni, actually said, yeah, he was talking about her, but that's not what he meant. He wasn't saying, this is what we would need. We need to find something to trash her. He was saying, we need other people to organically say that she's a bully. Okay. Which is basically what is happening now is people are organically saying that had a bad experience with her. Okay. Basically, I said day after Christmas. Without more context, Baldoni could have been referencing literally anything, a text on a thread on X about women bullying other women who come forward about DV or some other unrelated topic. We don't know. And that ambiguity is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. The complaint adds flair with claims like Baldoni's PR being reassured that Lively would be destroyed and buried. But let's be clear, there's no screenshot of Baldoni actually saying those words or anyone reassuring him that they were destroying anyone. This is an interpretation and not a fact. Framing these texts as a coordinated smear campaign is more clever than conclusive. It's classic lawfare, crafting a narrative to sound damning without definitive proof. Strong storytelling is not the same as strong evidence. Don't get it twisted. So that was basically it. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out. Bye bye.